Hello, beautiful friends. I am Lizzie, and today we are going to be talking about my experience with the 90-day sobriety challenge. If you don't know me already, I am Lizzie. I call myself a self-love coach. I post vulnerably online to help other humans feel less alone, and I do other things, but that will be for another date. If you're interested in subscribing to me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But we will be getting into the story shortly about my experience with going sober for the first time in 6 years. So I did go on a 90-day sobriety journey, but I want to rewind a little bit more and share with you a little bit of background when it comes to me and my journey with drugs and alcohol. When you hear sobriety, right, I feel like that can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. Of course, there are harder drugs, and it can be a life or death situation. It can be a very serious topic to talk about sobriety, but with my journey, I believe it's a little bit different. Just to paint the picture, up until I was 21, I was super straight edge. I did not drink at all. I did not smoke. I did not do anything. In my family, there's a long history of smoking marijuana, and I was super against that. So in a way, my straight edgeness was a rebellion against that, what was going on in my family. That was until I was around 21. I started having my first experiences with alcohol, drinking every once in a while. Drinking patterns even now are, I will drink one glass of wine and I will be wasted. I'm such a lightweight. I don't love the way that alcohol feels in my body, so I really haven't been drawn to drinking all that much at all. However, when I was 21, there was this boy that I had a crush on, and I was semi-dating, one of those situationships type of deal. And he was super straight edge like me. Until one day he said, oh, well, I think I want to try smoking. I think I want to try it. And to me, I was like, well, if this guy's willing to try it, then maybe I should try it too. And the very first time I smoked, I felt a crazy sensation. I was thinking to myself, is this real? Like, can I trust my reality right now? And I felt the highest I'd ever felt at that point. And I believe every single day for 6 years, I was trying to feel that same high again. When I started smoking, that was the beginning of my journey with marijuana, and I smoked every single day for 6 years straight. There is one exception to that, though. I did go 1 week without smoking. I was on this vacation with my family, and I did not want them to know that I smoked, even though I knew that my dad smoked. I didn't want them to know because I wanted them to think that I was a perfect princess and that I could do nothing wrong. And I felt absolutely miserable that week. I had no idea why. I knew that part of it was definitely mental, psychological, because my family's not the nicest and most respectful to me, or at least has not been in the past. So I knew part of my misery was that, but otherwise I was pretty oblivious to what was going on, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit later in the video as well. But out of 6 years, I did not go one day without smoking except for that 1 week, and I went right back to smoking every day. About a year and a half ago, I started feeling not what I wanted to feel from the marijuana, if that makes sense. The original intention was to alleviate stress and feel calm and relax and overall decompress from the day. You know what I mean? But then things started to change, and I started feeling anxious. I started feeling paranoid. I started feeling immense guilt every time I smoked, because it was a battle between my mind and my body. My body is like, I need to smoke. I need to keep smoking because that's all it knows for the past 6 years, right? And my mind is like, no, don't keep doing this, because you know it doesn't feel good, and you know that you're not going to feel good after you do it. But there are a lot of things going on. I'm like pressing my throat. There are a lot of things going on in my mind, you know. I couldn't not smoke because that's just something that I do every day. I could not smoke because this is how me and my partner bond every day, you know. We have our own little routine. I can't not smoke because I need to fall asleep at night. I can't fall asleep if I don't smoke. There were a lot of different stories in my head about reasons that I could not stop. And I couldn't imagine my life without it, you know what I mean? So it was something that felt impossible and tangible. Like, not smoking is not an option, right? Until a year ago, on January 13th, 2023, I decided that I really wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. This begins the 30-day sobriety challenge. The 30-day sobriety challenge was the first time for longer than a week that I chose and I wanted to challenge myself to not smoke weed, as well as not drink, which is not really an issue for me. During that 30 days, I set a lot of intentions. I mostly wanted to challenge myself and prove to myself that I could do it, you know, a manageable challenge that I know I can do. Of course, this was like a little trickier because I didn't know if I could really do it, but I had enough trust and enough confidence in myself that I could challenge myself and I can follow through. I've experienced more discomfort as well, so I feel more comfortable in the discomfort that I can at least manage for 30 days. I wanted to see how I felt. I wanted to get my business more in order. I wanted to see what it was like because I think part of me was thinking, I think I'm missing out on something, you know? So during that 30-day sobriety challenge, the first week or two was actually really challenging. I was having a really hard time falling asleep because, like I said, that story about needing marijuana to be able to fall asleep was in my mind. I was also, my cat's going crazy. I was also at nighttime getting these night sweats and night chills because your body cannot regulate itself. It's so used to smoking weed that it cannot regulate itself without it, if that makes sense. What I discovered after some Reddit research was that your body, when you are going sober from marijuana, goes through certain withdrawals. And depending on how much you smoked could depend on the severity of the withdrawals. So I was rewriting some things for myself when I was discovering that what I was actually going through were marijuana withdrawals. I didn't realize that that was even a thing, you know what I mean? And made a lot of sense because during that 1 week, right, that 1 week that I went without marijuana, I felt absolutely miserable. I felt nauseous the entire time. I could not sleep. I did not sleep. And it was real rough. And I was realizing that it wasn't just because of my parents treating me in a way that was disrespectful. It was also because I was going through marijuana withdrawals, and pretty severe ones because I was smoking a lot back then. When I went on this 30-day challenge, I was already decreasing my intake, so the withdrawals weren't as severe, but it was still super uncomfortable. So something to keep in mind if you yourself are going on your own challenge is that there might be some effects that you don't expect. So for the first week or two, I was feeling pretty uncomfortable. Parts of me wanted to crawl out of my skin, and it was just not the best time. But once I got over that hump of the first 2 weeks, I started feeling amazing. I started having so much clarity. This fog lifted. I started feeling so good in my body. I started feeling more and more motivated. I was inevitably saving money because I wasn't spending it on marijuana. I wasn't spending it on DoorDash because I couldn't leave the house or I couldn't get out of my couch or out of my bed. And I started feeling really good. Once the 30-day sobriety challenge ended, I was unsure of how to proceed because I really liked the way that I felt. But I also wasn't willing to give up smoking marijuana yet. Especially not forever. I was not willing to do that, and I wasn't ready for that. Though I did change my smoking habits after the 30 days, over time they did return back to normal. For example, I will only smoke one day during the weekend, and then it changed to weekends, and then it changed to every 3 days, and then it changed to every 4 days, so it did eventually go back semi-normal. And between my 30-day sobriety challenge and the next sobriety challenge, hint hint, it's in the thumbnail, I realized that I really wanted to feel the way that I felt because I knew that I felt better without smoking, and I wanted to see if I could do and challenge myself even more. It took me so much courage and confidence and trust in myself to be able to even consider doing the 30-day challenge, and to implement that was really big for me. So, in July, right after a party, right after a day where I was smoking and drinking all day, I was thinking to myself, I really want to feel that clarity again. I really wanted to feel that feeling of being sober again. And I knew that the 30-day challenge was not enough for me to have long-lasting effects. I decided that I'm going to challenge myself for 90 days. Again, I wasn't ready to say forever. I wasn't ready to say goodbye forever. I just wanted to increase the time and prove to myself that I could do even 90 days, which was huge for me. Less withdrawals this time because I was ultimately smoking less. And this time, because it was longer and more sustained, this feeling, I felt so good. I didn't feel like I was missing out. I was like, you know what? If you guys are partying, have a good time. I just want y'all to enjoy yourselves. And I felt amazing. I felt higher than I've ever felt while smoking or drinking. And I just realized by the end of that 90 days that I was never going to go back. Even when I was smoking after the 30-day challenge, it wasn't the same, because when you're smoking every day for 6 years, you obviously have a tolerance, and it's not such a big deal when you're puffing over here, over there, it's not such a big deal. But when you go several days without it and you don't have any tolerance, it's such a different experience. It's almost like you're committing to a trip, a mushroom trip, or acid, or whatever you want to say. It's a commitment. It's not the same. So I realized during that 90 days that it's never going to be the same. I also realized during that 90 days, I started going to these estate sales, and I started feeling really drawn to these books about sobriety. The first book I read was about emotional sobriety, and then the second book I read was the big book. If you ever hear about Alcoholics Anonymous, they have this Bible that they call the Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book, and I decided to read that. I do not resonate with being an alcoholic, and there's absolutely no judgment. I have a lot of empathy for humans who have addictions and have an addiction to alcohol or any other substance, but when I read this big book, it really opened my eyes, and it made me think maybe I have an issue with marijuana. I don't want to butcher this, but in my awareness, in Alcoholics Anonymous, they believe that alcoholism is actually an allergy to alcohol. And what that means is that when they drink, it's different than a normal person drinking. For example, maybe I can have a drink and be done for the night. But there's something that goes on in the mind or in the body that one drink is not enough. And the body or the mind just needs it and needs more of it, whether the mind is trying to fight that or not. Whether in their mind they know that they don't want to be doing this, but they just can't help it. And of course, I never want to compare my sobriety journey to other people's sobriety journey. Of course, marijuana is on a completely different level than alcohol or any other drugs, and I totally respect that. But for me, I do believe that there is something in my body, in my vessel, that I cannot just have a toke every once in a while. I can't just be carefree and go to a party and want that one day, because I've seen that, and that snowballs into 6 years, for example. And this is not to badmouth marijuana. I think that it is a great resource for humans who need it, and if it helps you and it is for your highest and best good, then that's amazing. But I realized that it wasn't helping me anymore. I realized that there was something going on within me, that it wasn't a right match anymore, and it wasn't the best for me to keep going, you know what I'm saying? So during that 90 days, after reading that book, I really realized that I don't think I can smoke anymore. You know, this started as a 30-day sobriety challenge, and then it turned into a 90-day sobriety challenge, and I realized that I feel so much better without it. Why would I go back? Also, why would I deal with those withdrawals again? The withdrawal symptoms again. And, you know, why would I go back when I feel so much better than I have ever felt in my whole entire life? I'm telling you, it is a high that is higher than any other high that you can get from drugs. Not that I've done many drugs at all, but it is a really amazing feeling, and I had no idea that my little sobriety challenge was going to lead to where I am today. I also want to share a fun fact. I totally forgot about mentioning this. When I first went on that 30-day sobriety challenge, my partner and I were living in a 1-bedroom in-law apartment attached to my mom and my stepdad. And that in-law apartment was amazing, and it was perfect for what we needed. But over time, it did feel super small, and it felt like we were outgrowing the place. And during that 30-day sobriety challenge, Cameron and I were thinking, you know, maybe it's time for us to start thinking about moving out and start thinking about where our next dream home is going to be. And my dream has always been, well, I want to live on a lake. I want to look in my backyard and I want there to be a lake behind it. And I want to be able to jump in and swim, and, you know, that was my dream. And a lot of people thought it was really unrealistic. We thought it was pretty unrealistic, considering, you know, it's not inexpensive to live on a lake, and it's not like they come a dime a dozen. But within that 30 days, I believe that I was so clear-headed, clear-minded, clear in every single way, that I manifested living in a lake house. Of course, it took both Cameron and I and a lot of beautiful divine circumstances. If you don't believe in manifestation, that's perfectly fine. But I'm someone who believes that we are a perfect match to our reality, a perfect energetic match to our reality. We are a magnet. If you look around your room, you are a perfect magnet to all that you see around you. And we just so happened to be, during that time, during my 30-day sobriety challenge, a perfect magnet for a lake house. So about a month after my sobriety journey ended, we moved into a lake house. And I do believe that I'm a better manifestor being sober as well. It was so cool to see this come to fruition. I'm looking at my lake, which is covered in snow, so you can't really see that it's a lake, but we live in that lake house, and it is so freaking awesome. And I do attribute that to me challenging myself to go sober. And, you know, obviously sobriety isn't for everyone. You know, if you don't feel called yourself to try sobriety or challenge yourself or anything like that, that's perfectly perfect. But if you do want to see what it feels like, if you want to see how you would feel and challenge yourself and prove to yourself that you can do it, it is a perfect way to shake things up. It's a perfect way to up level in your life and challenge yourself to do uncomfortable things, and just to see what it feels like. Of course, you can always go back, but it's really, really amazing. It's an amazing feeling, and I'm so grateful that I decided to go on that challenge. about a year ago, that first challenge, and it totally changed my life. Of course, no pressure at all. Everything is perfect. And it took me a really long time to be able to even consider something like this. So I totally understand, and I just want you to know that wherever you are in your journey is absolutely perfect. You are absolutely perfect. Always encouraging you to spend time with humans who love and accept you for exactly who you are, and to love and accept yourself exactly as you are. If you have any questions about my sobriety journey, especially if you are considering one for yourself, please comment down below. Also, be sure to follow me on all my social media. I am at Lizzie Bee Loved. Make sure to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed. And I am excited to post more frequently on here and put more energy into creating YouTube videos. I used to create YouTube videos when I was a teenager, so it's really cool. It's really cool to come back full circle and post as a 28-year-old. I appreciate you watching this, and it has been amazing to be able to share this. A real true miracle. Since it's 2024, it's the beginning of the new year, I recap my previous year and I think about all of the accomplishments and how far I've come this past year. And that 30-day sobriety challenge and the 90-day sobriety challenge, those have been my two top accomplishments probably in my whole life, to be honest. And you're looking at someone who is officially 6 months weed sober. I have a glass of wine every once in a while, but I have not smoked for 6 months, and it is a huge fucking deal for me. And of course, whatever you do is perfectly perfect, but I'm happy to be able to share this experience. I haven't put on my lipstick. You want to know a fun fact? I recorded this video already, and I wanted to re-record it. And this is my look. Thank you for watching this Get Ready With Me story time, talking about my 30-day and 90-day sobriety challenge and my experience with it. And I am not a doctor. Please make sure to consult your doctor before going on a challenge such as this one, and thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe below, like and comment, especially comment if you have any questions about my sobriety journey and anything like that, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Love you so much.